Good morning, friends. I hope everybody's doing well. Okay, so those of you that follow the channel know that this tractor had 3 problems. The first problem was the gas tank was leaking. So 2 videos ago, we took the gas tank off. I cleaned it up, put some JB Weld on it, and fixed that. And then in the last video, I did a dry-wet compression test, and it failed. If anybody wants to see that video, I'll leave the link in the description. If you want to check out how I did the dry-wet compression test on it. So it failed that. And as I showed you, the oil pressure, horrible. I've had other tractors where the rings were bad and it had bad oil pressure too low. Even when the engine was cold, as you saw where the needle was on the gauge, it was just a little bit higher than that. And if we were to cut grass with this and really heat the engine up, the oil pressure probably would have went down to nil. I know it has an oil leak. The oil leak's not enough to affect the oil pressure on it. So what I plan to do today is I'm going to take the mower deck off and I'm going to put the snowplow on it so we can jack it up. But before I put the snowplow on it, I want to clean the whole tractor up real good so we can find the oil leak. In this video, we will definitely be pulling off the flywheel here and the tow bar, and I'll pull the tires off too. I'll probably get rid of this air cleaner. I'll take the air cleaner off. I'll leave the tractor outside and I'll just put a tarp over it. So as soon as I get all that done, I'll be back to you when we go to pull the flywheel and this off. You see me do tires before, so it's just 3 bolts on each side holding the wheels on. So I'll pull them off and I'll give everything a real good cleaning. I might bring you back first. I think I'm going to take the flywheel and the tow hitch off here so I get clean real good underneath. We'll see as far as we could get today. So the top end of the engine has to come off. The whole cylinder has to come off. And I'll have to hone out the cylinder and take a measurement so we can see what rings it's going to need. I know the valves were alright. They were seating pretty good. So we discovered it wasn't a valve adjustment or anything like that. But I will, while I have the whole thing apart, I will take the valves and we'll check them out real good and I'll lap the valves. Okay, so I put about 1/4 of a quart of oil in it. That's how low it was. Because I want the oil full so we can check for the oil leak. I got this tractor 5 years ago along with the 67 L8 that we plow with. I wanted to make sure the 67, because it was my main snow plowing tractor, was done right. But I know with this one, I only put this engine together with parts that were laying around. So I just wanted to let you know that. I figure I'll take this flywheel nut off first because I don't want the compressor kicking on while we're doing this. And then the next thing we'll do is we'll take the tow hitch off. I think the flywheel nut was 15/16. Right now we're using the 5/8 deep to get these nuts off that hold the anchors on. Now we're using the 3/4 socket to get the two bolts, one on this side, one on the other side, to go into the differential housing. And that's not the right one. These two bolts will put back in into the differential housing, because we had one, we were looking for an oil leak, and the oil was leaking out of the hose because I didn't put the bolts back in. So these anchors here, I'm going to try to just pull this whole thing off without loosening the nuts to go to the hitch itself. No, there's no washers. I think I told you before, what I'm going to do is, because we're going to have to disassemble this whole tractor to get the upper part of the engine off. So what I'm going to do is I'll clean everything up real good and just give it a quick one coat of orange on there. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is get this flywheel off. The belt's loosened up. I think we could just pop this flywheel off with the puller without any problem. I'll probably get in your way here. Try not to, but sit here. Get this on the center of the crankshaft. I think that's about right there. Make sure you have your claws on there, okay? And make sure you're aiming the gun the right way. I've done that before. You want to do it in the tightening mode. Now the important thing is you don't want to lose the key to the keyway there. Sometimes they stay on, sometimes they fall off. I wanted to get the engine top dead center and they did, but we really don't have to worry about that right now. Okay, One good news is this. I mentioned it in a few videos. This is the oil pump cover here. And a few years ago, I had to replace the seal in there. And I was hoping that this wasn't leaking. So that's not leaking. That's dry. So if it's axle seals, I would rather it be that than this. Because as I was telling you, we got a little play in the, well, more than a little play in the crankshaft here. Because this is actually, this oil pump cover seal is actually the rear main seal. So we're good with that. That's really cool. I'm really happy about that. So, alright, I'm going to stick those bolts back in where I told you to go into the differential there. And I'm going to clean the tractor up real good. I'll put the plow on it. And I'm going to jack it up so we can see where the oil leak's coming from. So, I'll be back tomorrow morning to continue. Okay, so it looks like the drain plug's leaking. I don't know how that could be. Usually, if you change the oil, you can stick the drain plug back in. Okay, I could understand it leaking. But I had one of those nylon washers I used. That was before I decided to use crush washers, which are working very well right now. Everything else under the tractor is dry, under the transmission here. And as I showed you before, the rear main seal, the oil pump cover seal, it's all dry. So, alright, so that's the problem with that. Alright, so let's see if I can do this really quick. Like, I have the crush washer on standby, and we have a coffee can under here. And I'm using a 3/4 inch box wrench here. Of course the jack's in the way. Let's see what we can do here. Sides make a mess. This is no good. You want the skinniest part of the washer to go against the head of the bolt. Not that much of a mess. Not too bad. Could have been worse. Yeah, I just dumped this oil back in. Because we used a clean coffee can. The less money we have to put into this, the better. So far, it just costed us a crush washer. It was like, I think it was $7 for 12 of them. And I'll wipe everything off real good underneath here, and then we'll check it again tomorrow morning. Okay, so what we're going to do next is I'm going to start disassembling the tractor so we can get the cylinder, the jug off it. I'll give you a better wiping later here. I used one of these nylon washers. It's crappy. Never works good. So, okay, I just want to give you a quick update. I disconnected the throttle. It's got 2 bolts, 2 nuts that hold the throttle assembly on. And then there's 1 bolt that holds the choke. It's a nut and a bolt. It's like a clamp, sort of. And then I went and I took off the carburetor off. And I used a 1/4 inch setup. I used a long extension here. And with a 1/2 inch socket. And I got that bolt out. And then I just took this bolt out too. Took the carburetor off. Then I took off the PTO lever. I took that off next. And then I took off the top shield here, which most of you have seen before. And the reason why I did that is so I could hold the nut to get the handlebar nut and bolt off on this side. And then I'll take this bolt out here and get the handlebar off. On this side here, got the gear levers. And all you have to do is take off the 2 forward nuts here. Both the forward and reverse and the high-low range. Just take them out off and this will slide right off. I'm going to disconnect this over here. It cleaned up pretty good, cleaning up everything. But I just might spot paint a couple of things here. Some of you may remember I had that mishap in there where I was trying to get the hub off, and I had the clamped in here where the opening is here, where this was open, and I clamped it here, and the hub blew up when I went to take it off because I didn't have the puller on correctly. And you can see this is freshly damaged, and a piece came flying off. So I'm gonna have to just mask off the Gravely decal here, and I'll just touch that up. I'll spray it with some orange paint. And then once I get the handlebar off, I could take these other 2 shields off, one here and one on the other side. I could get those shields off. This way we could pull the whole shroud and gas tank assembly off. Okay, so once you get this all apart, you want to, I cleaned this all up the best I could under here. It wasn't that bad and all around before you pull the engine off, the cylinder off. So right now, let's see if we can get these head bolts. It shouldn't be a problem. I don't think. I'm not really sure. This is the lower compression engine. I think it's the 5.5 horse because I'm going by this setup here. Usually you would have valve cover on this side and the other side that you could take off and adjust the valves. This is like a spring-loaded thing that you have to lift to adjust the valves. You should actually get new head bolts before you get them all out. Well, there's one I can't get off. I put the higher compression head on this, where the spark plug, it's a smaller spark plug and it points up. Here's another one I can't get out. So I guess it's 3 I can't get out. Why? Because I was in a big hurry and I probably didn't put any anti-seize on the bolts. So I don't have to mess around with those. I'll just take the 1/2-inch extension and just start beating down on them and spray them down with some PB Blaster and see if I can get the head off. Okay, this ended up being not too bad to get them out. What I did is I sprayed the top, which I don't even know if that did anything, top of the bolts with PB Blaster, and then in between here, in between the fin, is where the bolt comes out. I sprayed in there. But what really works is to give it a jolt. I use a 1/2-inch extension and just give the bolts a tap. Just tap them. Sometimes I tap them more than I'd like to, but each one, after I did that, each one came out pretty easily. So we'll pop the head off and see what it looks like in there. I probably used an old I don't know if that's oil in there from when we did the compression test. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Well, we did have it running after. You know, in the beginning of this video, I had it running. So, I don't know. So far, we'll get a brand new head gasket for it. From the time I threw this together, it really doesn't have that many hours on it. But like I said, I just used parts that I had laying around here. I want to see if there's any markings on there. Okay, it's got a standard piston. I can rock it back and forth some. Probably needs to be bored out actually, but I'm just going to size up the rings once I go to Harbor Freight and buy the caliper tool. Feels like it's raining, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I can move this pretty much here. Yeah, it's drizzling. It's not supposed to rain till tonight. These weather people are just... Maybe if you focus in on your camera, or I mean whatever you're watching it on, you could even hear it. Alright, so what I'm going to do right now is we have 4 nuts that hold the jug on with lock washers, and they're 3/8 nuts that are fine thread. I'm going to start putting stuff away here because I don't know if it's going to start raining harder. I might be back to you today. I might just cover everything up and just continue tomorrow. Okay, so it stopped raining. I put everything away before. It took a break for a little while, and now the sun's trying to come out. So we'll be using a 9/16 open end wrench to get these nuts off here. And there's 4. Okay, I'll get back to you as soon as I get these other 3 nuts off, and then we'll pull the cylinder off. Well, one thing I could tell you, don't ever use RTV as a base gasket. I had a real hard time, but I think I finally got it to. Alright, another thing I'm worried about here is if it has a broken ring. So I'm going to stuff a rag down in there, so if it does have a broken ring, no pieces will go down in the engine into the bottom end here. I think that'll be alright. It's funny because there's no ridge or carbon buildup at the top of the cylinder. I probably cleaned it at one time. I'm not seeing any broken ring. Alright, so after I measured the cylinder, if it requires any bigger rings than 5 thousandths, then we have a problem. Then we'll probably have to change the piston. I might have some pistons laying around. I gotta check and see. I'm pretty sure I have at least one piston, but so we really can't do anything until the connecting rod where it bolts around the crankshaft seems pretty tight. Didn't have any rod knocks or anything like that. So the next thing I'll do next time, we're not doing any more today. Next time what I'll do is I'll pop the piston off here. I'll have the caliper tool by then, and then we can measure the bore and see where we stand with that. And in the next video we'll probably take the valves out. I'll clean them up real good, inspect them, and then we'll do a quick valve lapping to them. And I'm definitely going to get a new base gasket here. The other piece came off here. I don't know what we're going to do here with this. I'll have to figure it out. I'll figure out what's going on. So definitely get a head gasket. We'll get the rings that it needs. I'll see if I have another piston. I don't know if there is 5,000 over pistons. I think it just goes right from standard to 10 to 20 and then 30. So I think the biggest problem was the rings. Alright, so thanks for watching. I hope to see you all on the next one. And take care.